Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, was pure movie magic, a whimsical, colorful journey into a world of imagination, wonder, and unforgettable lessons. Generations grew up enchanted by Gene Wilder's iconic portrayal of the mysterious chocolatier and the quirky cast of golden ticket winners who stepped into his fantastical factory. But while the film remains timeless, many of the talented actors who brought this magical tale to life are no longer with us. Some passed unexpectedly, others after long and quiet battles, each leaving behind a piece of a film that shaped childhoods around the world. In this heartfelt tribute, we remember the stars of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory who have sadly passed away, and celebrate the enduring joy they gave to millions. Gene Wilder, who portrayed the enigmatic Willy Wonka in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was 37 years old when he embodied the whimsical, secretive chocolatier whose fanciful factory mirrored his complex persona. Wilder's performance became iconic, but behind the eccentric charm was a man marked by deep personal sorrow. He married 4 times, including to comedian Gilda Radner, whose tragic death from cancer in 1989 devastated him. They had no children, and Wilder never remarried after her passing. Wilder also struggled with anxiety and bouts of depression, especially in the later years when he withdrew from Hollywood. Diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, he kept his illness private to protect his fans' joyful memories of him. Professionally, his career never quite matched the magic of Willy Wonka, and several later projects failed to gain traction. He died in 2016 at the age of 83 from complications of Alzheimer's. Though admired by peers, he often felt isolated, living quietly in Connecticut with a net worth estimated at $20 million. His life was a blend of brilliance and heartbreak, with a legacy forever colored by the bittersweet charm of Willy Wonka himself. Jack Albertson, who brought Grandpa Joe to life at age 64, captured audiences with his joyful spirit and childlike excitement. The character, though bedridden for years, magically finds the energy to accompany Charlie on his chocolatey adventure, a symbol of hope and second chances. Albertson, however, faced a far more grounded reality. A lifelong smoker, he battled colon cancer for years and kept his illness hidden from the public until his final days. Married to Wallace Thompson, the couple had 1 daughter, Maura, though their marriage was riddled with arguments and long separations due to his touring stage work. His daughter later recalled him as emotionally distant and consumed by his career. After Willy Wonka, Albertson's career slowed, and the roles became fewer and less prominent. He spent his final years in Los Angeles, often alone and in pain, reflecting on a life of fame but emotional distance. He passed away in 1981 at age 74. His estate was estimated to be under $1 million, much of it diminished by medical bills and quiet donations he made to struggling actors' funds. Roy Kinnear, who played the pompous and indulgent Mr. Salt, was 38 years old when he took on the role of Veruca Salt's wealthy and enabling father. His comedic timing and expression of wealthy cluelessness were standout features, but his personal life was darkened by tragedy and stress. Married to actress Carmel Cryan, the couple had 3 children, including actor Rory Kinnear. Although they had moments of happiness, Roy's insecurities about typecasting and his declining health strained the marriage. He suffered from chronic weight issues and anxiety, worsened by the pressure of being a comic relief in serious productions. Kinnear's final years were marred by a tragic on-set accident during the filming of The Return of the Musketeers in 1988, where he fell from a horse, broke his pelvis, and died shortly after due to a heart attack caused by internal bleeding. He was only 54. His death devastated his family and cast a shadow over stunt safety regulations in the industry. His estate was modest, reportedly valued at around $500,000, and was left largely to his wife and children. Leonard Stone, who portrayed the overbearing Mr. Beauregard, father to gum-chewing Violet, was 48 when he played the slick, loud salesman-type figure. His character, pushy and proud, mirrored aspects of Stone's own relentless drive in Hollywood. Married to Carol Stone, the couple had 4 children, though family life was often fractured by his obsession with work and financial pressures. His post-Wonka career declined rapidly, reduced mostly to minor roles in TV dramas and soap operas. Despite his early promise on stage and in television, he struggled with alcohol dependency and suffered from recurring bouts of depression, especially after one of his sons died tragically in a car accident in the 1980s. Stone's marriage eventually ended in separation, and he spent his later years in obscurity. He died in 2011 at age 87 from cancer. His final days were spent in a nursing facility, seldom visited and nearly forgotten by Hollywood. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately $250,000, a stark contrast to the fame he once held. Denise Nickerson, who played the brash and competitive Violet Beauregard at age 13, brought a fiery energy to the screen that many viewers never forgot. Yet her life after fame was marked by a series of devastating blows. After a few roles post-Wonka, including a stint on Dark Shadows, she retired from acting in her early 20s, citing disillusionment with the industry. She married twice, first to Rick Keller, who died of a brain aneurysm only 2 years into their marriage. Her second marriage ended in divorce. She had one son, Josh, and struggled as a single mother while working as a receptionist and bookkeeper. Nickerson faced multiple health crises in her later life, including a stroke in 2018 and later complications that left her in critical condition. Her financial situation was dire, and her family turned to crowdfunding to cover her medical costs. She passed away in 2019 at age 62, taken off life support after a massive seizure. Her estate was minimal, reportedly under $50,000. Despite her early promise, her life was a poignant example of the fleeting nature of child stardom. Nora Denny, who portrayed the distracted and quirky Mrs. TV in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was 45 years old when she took on the role of the television-obsessed mother whose son Mike gets shrunk inside the chocolate factory. Her portrayal of a frazzled, permissive mother added comedic tension to the film. Off-screen, Denny's life was filled with disappointment and emotional hardship. She married twice, first to stage actor Glenn Lewis, a volatile relationship marred by infidelity and arguments, producing a son, Michael, who later distanced himself from her. Her second marriage to makeup artist Roy Kinsey was more stable, yet emotionally cold and childless. After her brief stardom, her acting career dwindled, reduced to minor TV roles and commercials, which took a toll on her self-esteem. She struggled with depression and alcohol dependency during the 1980s. Denny was also deeply affected by the early death of her sister and spent years caring for her ailing mother. In her final years, she lived alone in a modest apartment in California, estranged from most of her family and battling emphysema. Nora Denny died in 2005 at the age of 78 due to respiratory failure. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at approximately $250,000, mostly consisting of residual checks and a small pension from the Screen Actors Guild. Ursula Rit, who played the indulgent and doting Mrs. Gloop, was 50 years old when she stepped into the role of Augustus's loving but enabling mother. Her character's German-accented warnings and comic timing made her memorable in the film. In real life, Rit led a far quieter and more melancholic existence. A respected stage actress in Germany, her post-Wonka career faltered, with offers dwindling after she was typecast. She never married, though she was engaged briefly in her 30s to playwright Heinrich Mohn, who tragically died in a car accident weeks before their wedding. Rit remained childless and lived a largely solitary life in Munich, relying on her cats for companionship. She reportedly battled chronic anxiety and was hospitalized multiple times for heart-related issues in the 1980s. A fall in 1992 left her partially immobile, forcing her into assisted living. Friends noted that she frequently reread old letters and photos, longing for a past that never fully materialized. Rit passed away quietly in 1998 at the age of 84 from natural causes. At the time of her death, her net worth was modest, estimated at around $100,000, mostly held in a pension and a small savings account. Gunter Meisner, who delivered a chilling and mysterious performance as Mr. Slugworth, the ominous spy-like figure tempting children in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was 45 when he filmed the role. With his icy stare and intimidating presence, Meisner became an unforgettable part of the film. However, the actor's life off-screen was marked by darkness and solitude. Meisner never married and had no known children, claiming in interviews that his intense dedication to acting left no room for domestic life. Though he enjoyed critical acclaim in Germany, he struggled with depression and deep-rooted guilt stemming from his father's wartime affiliations. He lived in Berlin in near isolation, reportedly suffering a breakdown in the early 1980s that resulted in hospitalization. He briefly found solace in directing fringe theater productions, but financial instability and chronic back pain plagued his final decade. Meisner died in 1994 at the age of 68 from heart failure. At the time of his death, he was living in a modest one-bedroom flat, and his estate was estimated at only $80,000, much of it tied up in unpaid medical bills and personal debts. Despite this, former colleagues remembered him as brilliant, tortured, and unforgettable. Peter Capel, who portrayed the cryptic and foreboding Tinker in the 1971 film, was 59 years old at the time of filming. His brief yet haunting line, "Nobody ever goes in, and nobody ever comes out," set the eerie tone for the mystery behind the Wonka factory. Capel, a seasoned German actor, had built a solid career in European cinema, but his fame never extended beyond supporting roles. He married artist Helene Drucker, but the relationship was strained by long separations, infidelity rumors, and the grief of losing their only child, Anna, to leukemia at age 9. Capel descended into heavy drinking in the 1970s and was dropped by several studios due to erratic behavior. His later years were spent in obscurity, performing in small theater productions and living in rural Austria, where neighbors described him as reclusive and haunted by the past. Despite battling liver disease and recurring bouts of pneumonia, Capel refused long-term care. He died in 1986 at the age of 74, alone and largely forgotten. His total estate value was under $50,000, composed primarily of antiques and personal effects, and was left to a distant niece in Vienna who had never met him. Diana Soul, who lovingly played Mrs. Bucket, the kind and supportive mother of Charlie, was 40 when she stepped into the gentle role that warmed viewers' hearts. Her performance as the caring matriarch symbolized hope and maternal resilience. Off-camera, Soul's life was deeply touched by both love and sorrow. She was married to Navy officer Robert Soul for over 5 decades, a seemingly strong union that endured frequent moves and emotional distance due to his deployments. They had 2 daughters, Catherine and Julie, but tragedy struck when Julie died in a boating accident in 1981. The loss deeply affected Diana, who took a long break from acting and suffered a nervous breakdown. Though she eventually returned to the stage in the 1990s, she never regained major fame. Her marriage, though intact until her husband's death, was marked by emotional silence. In her final years, she volunteered for hospice organizations and taught children's theater, quietly finding peace in helping others. Diana Soul passed away in 2018 at the age of 88 from natural causes. Her estate, consisting mostly of pension savings, modest real estate, and royalties from the film, was valued at approximately $400,000, which she left to her surviving daughter and a non-profit children's arts fund. Ernst Ziegler, who portrayed Grandpa George in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was 72 years old during filming and brought a gentle, understated warmth to the character of Charlie's bedridden grandfather. A German actor with a long but quiet career, Ziegler had already lost most of his eyesight due to injuries sustained during World War II, which made acting increasingly difficult. Behind the camera, Ziegler struggled with declining health, financial instability, and the psychological scars of war. He never married and had no known children, often living alone in sparse conditions. Isolated and underappreciated in the latter part of his life, he died in 1974 at the age of 75 from emphysema, aggravated by lifelong heavy smoking. Few from the cast attended his funeral, held in relative obscurity in West Germany. His total estate was modest, estimated at around $15,000, mostly consisting of government pensions and a tiny apartment. Despite his minor role, Ziegler's portrayal remains etched in cinematic memory, a silent, bittersweet legacy from a man whose real life was marked more by suffering than fame. Michael Bollner, who played the gluttonous and wide-eyed Augustus Gloop, was only 12 years old when he starred in the film. Though his portrayal of the German boy obsessed with sweets was humorous, his off-screen life soon took a different path. Forbidden by his strict father to pursue further acting, Bollner quietly returned to Germany, where he eventually became a tax accountant. The early fame faded quickly, leaving him with years of struggle over identity and the pressure of being typecast. He never married and has no known children, living most of his adult life in Munich, where he worked in relative anonymity. Despite public appearances at fan conventions, Bollner reportedly suffered from loneliness and depression, compounded by lifelong weight issues and social awkwardness. He has battled diabetes and mobility problems in later life. Now 67, he lives in a modest apartment and is believed to have a net worth of under $200,000. Though he retains pride in his role, he has spoken rarely and cautiously about the emotional toll the film took on his childhood. Paris the Man, who portrayed the energetic and television-obsessed Mike TV, was just 11 years old when he took on the role that would define his life. A child star full of ambition, the Man pursued theater and film for a short time before stepping away from Hollywood. His adult life became a tapestry of misdirection and missed opportunities, dabbling in real estate, business ventures, and even a brief stint as a contestant on Jeopardy! Known for being eccentric, he never married and has no children, though he has been romantically linked to several women over the decades. The Man has confessed to battling insecurity, anxiety, and regret over his stalled career, which never matched the promise of his youth. He struggled with substance abuse in his 30s, and while he achieved sobriety later, his reputation in Hollywood remained elusive. Now 66, he appears sporadically at conventions but leads a mostly reclusive life in Los Angeles. His current net worth is estimated at $250,000, mostly from investments and fan events. Despite the public's nostalgia, The Man's journey has been more complicated than the wide-eyed boy viewers remember. Julie Dawn Cole, who embodied the spoiled and demanding Veruca Salt, was only 13 during filming and immediately stood out for her sharp delivery and stage presence. Off-screen, however, her life took many difficult turns. After the film, she remained in show business with limited success, appearing in minor British TV roles before transitioning into child therapy. Her personal life was marked by heartbreak. She married actor Nicholas Hanford in the 1990s, and they had 2 children, Emma and Oliver, but the marriage ended after years of emotional distance and alleged infidelity. Cole has spoken candidly about her battles with depression, loneliness, and the lasting impact of being viewed as Veruca rather than herself. She also cared for her terminally ill mother for nearly a decade, a period she described as emotionally draining and isolating. Though still active in occasional public appearances and writing, Cole's financial situation has been modest. She lives quietly in Surrey and is believed to have a net worth of approximately $300,000. Now 68, she reflects often on the bittersweet nature of early fame and how it cast a long, sometimes painful shadow over the rest of her life. Which character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that some of the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.